Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. We are live for our first ever USW pay-per-view pre-show here on the Unitar's YouTube channel. Now, this is not the pre-show USW has. They don't even have a pre-show for the pay-per-views, but I am very happy to bring you a somewhat pre-show type feel. I should start out by introducing myself. My name is Zack Hardy, and I am a performer for USW. And tonight we are going to be previewing the matches we will see on the card for USW Hardcore Haven 2015. Now, one thing I do want to put out in this pre-show is that, yes, we have already filmed Hardcore Haven. I already know the results, but I'm not going to give you the results, like the complete results. I'm not going to tell you what happened or what happened, everything, the results or anything. I'm going to be talking to you like in a fan's perspective, not as Zack Hardy, not as a guy who has already seen it, but as a fan, in a fan's perspective. So you won't be worried about any results being spoiled. Some of them will be, but they're not. You won't know what results are being spoiled until afterwards. So I'm going to be happy to bring you pre-shows for USW pay-per-views from now on, and that will replace the pay-per-view preview and prediction videos. So without further ado, let's get into the first thing to talk about on the pre-show. And I will in a second. All right. So first, we get into the kickoff match, which is the three-ways #1 contenders match for the USW Tag Team Championships. Indigo Reaction versus the Martin Brothers versus Anarchy and Simon Saint. All right, first off, we have the team of Indigo Reaction. They've been a team that have been seen rarely since losing to Ezra Hills and Benny Franklin at Call to Greatness 10. They're a team that, of course, you haven't seen them rarely. Since their loss, they haven't been in the tag team championship picture until now. And this is going to see which team gets into the #1 or gets into the next tag team championship match against Ezra Hills and Benny Franklin at the next pay-per-view or special event, as in the next Outcast special event. The other teams involved are the Martin Brothers and Anarchy and Simon Saint. But first off, before we get to Anarchy and Simon Saint, we get to the Martin Brothers. And of course, they have also been doing very little since the teaming of Alex and George Martin came back / returned. This involves defeating Switchblade and Blade. Now, you may think, all right, what makes them capable or fit to be in another championship match? They've had 3 other opportunities before, 2 or 3 opportunities before. Why would we want them to have a 4th opportunity? Well, that's a big answer that nobody can really provide anybody. That's an answer that nobody really understands the reasoning behind it. And then you have Simon Saint and Anarchy, a team that has just been together for less than this past weekend and are already in a #1 contender spot for the USW Tag Team Championships. This obviously shows that the state of the USW Tag Team division is in, or has very many flaws, and is flunking quite a bit when it comes to anything, really. So we've been getting nothing from the tag team division. The same teams being run against Ezra Hills and Benny Franklin over and over and over and over and over again. And until we get new tag teams in, and those tag teams develop, then I don't think we're going to see a big difference in the tag team division. Ezra Hills and Benny Franklin, great tag team. You got Indigo Reaction and the Martin Brothers, who have been in a tag team for a while now, or have been a tag team in the past. And then you have Simon Saint and Anarchy, who are a new tag team, and so whatever. And then you have Case, which is a team of Hernastley and Amore, which will be facing Ezra Hills and Benny Franklin for the USW Tag Team Championships later in the night, or later tonight, which I will be getting to later in this pre-show. But then you don't have these other tag teams that you had, like DHIG and Rain have been a tag team that is now washed away. They were reigning standard, and now DHIG is doing something else on this show. And then you had Switchblade and Blade, who are a great tag team, but have been doing nothing, and now have been being treated like, push talents. And Then you have teams like Ezra and Gringo and Fernandez, who are no longer a tag team, and both have been doing very little to none, or very little to nothing at all since breaking this team up. So now what do? You don't have anything good for any of these teams, and quite frankly, the only thing I can see happening is that Indigo Reaction wins, because you've had the Martin brothers face Ezra Hills and Benny Franklin before. I think the past 2 or 3 pay-per-views before Hardcore Haven, and then you had Anarchy and Simon Saint, who are new tag teams. So why would you put them in the championship picture just right away? They already made that mistake with Reigning Standard and Case. Now they're giving Case another chance, another opportunity tonight. But you had those new tag teams, and they failed when it came time to that. So now you have Anarchy and Simon Saint, who are not tagged, or who are not an experienced tag team together. So, of course, putting them against Ezra Hills and Maggie Franklin would be yet again another mistake made by USW in the tag team division. So, Indigo Reaction, the only team I see being able to pick up a win and being able to get in that tag team championship picture again, or having any success. So, my prediction for the team to win is Indigo Reaction. News breaking out this past weekend about the Outcast special. It has been confirmed that there will be an Outcast special replacing one of the Wednesday night intensities in between Hardcore Haven and Ultimate Consequence. This news coming out relatively early Saturday morning. And it hasn't been released what intensity it will be replacing, but it has said it will be in between Hardcore Haven and Ultimate Consequence. Hardcore Haven, of course, at the end of June, and Ultimate Consequence at the end of July. So we have about 4 or 5 weeks in between to kind of get some build-up for these pay-per-views. So why not make an opportunity out of showing that people who don't buy pay-per-views from USW, showing them that these pay-per-view events are very, very interesting and very important to USW, not just showing that it gives you a new show on who can be the new champions and the new champions it brings, because you don't see that on intensity very often. So, of course, this would be great, and a great thing to show the people who don't watch the pay-per-views. Not to mention, it'd be great for building up your stars and building up the next pay-per-view, because it takes a lot of effort and it takes a lot of strength to make every feud, and it barely ever happens that every feud in between a 4 or 5 week building period becomes successful, especially during their time of place. And so therefore the events are not usually built up very well, or the matches are not built up very well, and therefore a little interest gets broken. So I think this Outcast special will be a good idea, and so hopefully it pays off for USW. Next off, we have the Bloody Massacre match, which is pretty much a first blood match between Philip Akron and Fernandez. Philip Akron and Fernandez have been doing nothing, and for a long while. And Fernandez has not been doing very much since breaking his team with Gringo earlier in 2000, very early, like January 2015 or December 2014. So that's a long time. That's about 6 or 7 months of not doing anything productive, which has always got to kill performers. And Philip Akron has been doing very little to nothing at all. For how long? Maybe for his entire time in USW. I don't know. But I do know he hasn't been doing very much. So what's the point in him being here? I don't know. What's the point in Fernandez being here? I don't know. This match will not do anything for either of these two, and it seems as though there's no point. It has no point on being in the card unless both performers have an immediate direction once this match is over, or by Wednesday night intensity. So unless you have Fernandez and Philip Akron, unless you have a very liable feud and very valuable feud between these, or either between these two or between them and 2 others, I don't see any reason why this match should happen except for the fact that it's a filler match, and filler matches are not great to have. Just ask the pay-per-views from last year and the year before, with the exception of, I think, any pay-per-view after June or July 2014, but all pay-per-views before that, with the exception of Call of Greatness 9, not being very good. And even Call of Greatness 9, some of the matches there were not very great. So I guess my prediction for this match is for Philip Akron to win. The only reason I say that is because Philip Akron seems as though he's a liable source. I mean, Fernandez has been doing nothing. He doesn't need a win. Philip Akron doesn't need a win. They're not doing anything afterwards, so it's not going to affect them in any way whatsoever. So why stop the momentum when there is no momentum? And if that's the case, then why not give Philip Akron the win? He seems like he's got something else to do. Or he seems like he's got a more plausible role than Fernandez has. So next up, we have a finisher match, which is for the Extreme Championship. TJ defends the title against DHIG. And once again, I would like to warn everybody that I am putting this in, or I'm putting myself in fan mode. I'm not talking about Zack Hardy wrestler, Zack Hardy who's seen everything go on before this. I'm talking about fan mode Zack Hardy. So this is just me talking about what I would have talked about yesterday had I done a preview or prediction video. This is the same thing I'm going to be doing. I'm just shuffling up this stuff. So TJ, he has the Extreme Championship right now. Sadly, holding the title is not doing anything for him. And DHIG, same thing. He hasn't been doing anything, I mean, except for the world. He doesn't have the Extreme title, but he's been doing nothing since his only world title match, which was at Bulletproof 8, and he lost to Capital. And his time with USW is just doing nothing for him. Not just a time without a title, but he's just been doing nothing in USW. I don't think he's won an accomplishment other than the Bulletproof series from 2014. So anyway, TJ should not lose the Extreme Championship to DHIG because it doesn't do anything for him. However, it doesn't do anything for DHIG either. And it really doesn't belong on DHIG's waist. In all honesty, it belongs on TJ's waist a lot more than it does on DHIG's waist. So it should stay with TJ as long as he is facing DHIG. So TJ to win the Extreme title. Four-ways match for the International Championship. James defends the International Championship against Ash, Gringo, and Fernandez. My prediction is for James to retain the International Championship. The reason being, he just won it. So I don't see him being a transitional champion. And if he were to lose it, I would see him losing it to Gringo or Fernandez. But then again, the title doesn't belong on their waists either. So Ash would be the only valuable answer. And in that case, if Ash were to win it, then why have Ash lose it to James? Why have Ash lose it to James at the previous pay-per-view, which was, if I am not mistaken, Tap Out? No, Key in Case. So there's no reason for him to lose the championship at Key in Case if he was just going to lose it, or if Ash was just going to win it back at Hardcore Haven. So anyway, prediction is for James to retain the International Championship. Next up, we have the Steel Death Match between Capital and Double XL. Capital, he does not need the win. He will not. He doesn't seem like he's going to be doing anything after this feud anyway, or this one match. I don't know if this is going to be a feud or one match. And it seems like Capital has been doing nothing and has no direction and has been in that stance ever since getting dropped from the world title picture. So if you really can't find anything for Capital to do outside of the world title picture, give him the world title back. Put him back in the world title picture. Give him that title and let him keep it, because it does not seem as though you can do anything with him outside of the world title picture. I don't think you're able to do that. And with Double XL, you've dropped the ball with him. There's no, they dropped the ball on him in so many ways. They brought him back, I guess, to team with Massacre at Call of Greatness 10, and then after that, they buried him to TJ of all people. Made him lose to TJ more than 3 times in the Extreme Championship picture. Now you're going to have him lose to Capital, because I'm pretty sure Capital is just going to just beat Double XL, because Double XL has more of a direction, or I mean, Capital has more of a direction than Double XL has, nor does he ever will have. I mean, Double XL's first run with USW was great. I mean, he won the USW title against Zack Hardy of all people, myself. He won it against myself. So of course he had a great first run, and then he left, and then he gets brought back, and he just gets buried by TJ in the Extreme Championship picture of all championships. And then you get, Capital more than likely beating him at Hardcore Haven in a steel death match. So what's left for Double XL? Nothing. I think this run is not working for him, and I don't think Double XL should be in USW if this is going to continue. That's my whole rant on that. Predictions for Capital to win, it's pretty damn obvious that he's going to win. So anyway, cage match for the Blue Belt Championship. Prophecy defends the Blue Belt Championship against Yo-Yo Joe here tonight. Prophecy, so far, great in the championship defense category. I want to see where he goes from this point on. I mean, he's been getting over with the crowd. The crowd's been loving him. And hopefully after this feud with Yo-Yo Joe ends, hopefully the crowd will still love Prophecy, because they've been on his side for so long right now, as in his feud with Yo-Yo Joe. And the only reason the fans really got on Prophecy's side was because he was facing Yo-Yo Joe for the Blue Belt title, when the fans didn't want Yo-Yo Joe to have that Blue Belt title. So they wanted Prophecy to take it off him, so Prophecy took it off of him. So now the fans have gotten behind Prophecy, and hopefully once this feud ends with Yo-Yo Joe and Prophecy, we can get Prophecy in this mixture of getting great crowd reactions and becoming a great Blue Belt champion. And of course, Yo-Yo Joe is a great performer as well, getting over amazingly as a heel. Now the crowd is booing him. They're yelling insults at him. They're putting him down because he's a heel, and because he's such a great heel, and because he's got such a great presence in the ring, a great heel presence, that the fans realize that and don't like him for that. They want him to suck for that. Well, they don't want him to suck, but they don't like him. They don't want him to do good, which is what all people booing a heel is supposed to be doing. They're supposed to be saying, we don't like you, you suck, we hate you, and supposed to be telling that to the performer. And Yo-Yo Joe is that performer. They don't want that performer to do good, but when that performer does do good, the crowd doesn't like it, so they boo even louder, which means that performer gets over as a heel even more than when he wasn't, succeeding to the point where the fans would get mad at him for succeeding to that point. So therefore, Yo-Yo Joe, it's pretty obvious that Prophecy needs to retain the Blue Belt Championship here. Yo-Yo Joe cannot take it. And I want this feud to end tonight. I want the USW to take the smart route. And instead of continuing it and giving it the possibility of the performers to lose their momentum with the audience, and for the crowd to turn on this feud because it's been going on for so long, kind of like the Cannon and Dustin Raymond feud, I want this feud to end tonight with Prophecy retaining the Blue Belt Championship. And what better way for Prophecy to retain than by escaping or getting out of the cage, or making Yo-Yo Joe tap out, or pinning Yo-Yo Joe for the win inside a cage. That's the best way to do it. So I apologize. So my prediction and hope is that Prophecy retains the Blue Belt Championship here tonight, and that this feud just ends here tonight, because that's what needs to happen if you want to have Prophecy and Yo-Yo Joe, or if you want to give Prophecy and Yo-Yo Joe the possibility of having a great heel and or face reaction from the crowd going forward. Next up, we have the Ring of Arson match between Morbid and Washington. Morbid, he's been off and on intensity and pay-per-views for a while now. It's kind of like Washington loses to Morbid one pay-per-view. They give him a whole pay-per-view to recover, and then he loses to Morbid again, and then the same thing goes on and on and on, and then it leads up to this match here at Hardcore Haven between Morbid and Washington. And Washington, he, ever since losing to Morbid, each and every single time he loses to Morbid, he goes crazier. He gets even more twisted in the head. His mindset just fucking shuts down, and it turns out to be that Washington is going insane. knowing that he's not beating Morbid and that he can't beat Morbid, and it's driving him insane, which is great for character development. And I think this character really fits Washington well because he can pull this character off. It's not like Washington is just doing this alone. It's not like he's in a state where he's just trying to be crazy. It's like it's a forced crazy. It's not a natural crazy. And it's great because now we give a lot more interest to Morbid versus Washington. It's a hard choice in the sense of whether or not the performers will fight again or not, and I'm hoping that this is the final feud. If it is, then I want Morbid to win just because I want Washington to go crazy. I don't see how that will work, but I have a feeling if this is the final match, I feel as though Washington will win just because I don't know. It'll just stop his craziness. But then if Morbid wins, it doesn't make sense either way. But if Morbid wins, you have Washington go insane. Or what Washington can do, no. What Washington should do is they should have him lose to Morbid. He goes insane, and he doesn't ask for more matches. He just goes on a rampage, beating down everybody who gets in his way. And then by Called Greatness 11 next year in April 2016, Morbid versus Washington happens again, and Washington beats Morbid. That's what I want to see happen. But I think Morbid's going to win because I think that's a smarter decision. Next up, we have the tables match for the USW Tag Team Championships. Ezra Hills and Benny Franklin versus Case. Of course, Ezra Hills and Benny Franklin, a great tag team. Haven't been doing much because the tag team division has not been flourishing, has not been doing anything really. So, of course, it's natural for Ezra Hills and Benny Franklin to win. Case, of course, Hernastley and Amore, they haven't been doing very much. And I know that this is another step in. Let's try to see what goes on or what can happen in this feud because it didn't work out the first time. So let's try to give it a second chance. And I think that's where they're going with Ezra Hills and Benny Franklin against Case. But my prediction is for Ezra Hills and Benny Franklin to win because with the tag teams you have and with the state of the tag team division right now, I don't see Ezra Hills and Benny Franklin losing the championships anytime soon. Next, we have the parking lot brawl between Lone Wolf and Chris Ross. Just wanted to say, this about it. Lone Wolf and Chris Ross have great chemistry. They're great characters. Sadly, they haven't been doing much with either of them. I just don't want to see this feud go on the way it's been going on with Lone Wolf, take a break or whatever. I think this is a great feud to have it just be a one and done type of feud. So in that case, I want Lone Wolf to win. Because Chris Ross already beat Lone Wolf, and that's what kept Lone Wolf out of USW until he said he could come back. But in this case, I wanted Lone Wolf to get his win back, because then it would just make it even, and then they can go their separate ways. Next, we have an open challenge ambulance match for the World Heavyweight Championship. Seth has an open challenge. I don't know who's going to accept it. I don't know who can accept it. So I can't give a prediction or any notes on it. All I'm just saying is that there's an open challenge ambulance match or an open challenge ambulance match for the World Heavyweight Championship that Seth is putting the world title on the line. So that should be a great match tonight. Next is the bamboo cage match between Dustin Raymond and Cannon. Raymond, he's leaving in September, so I don't see why he needs to win. That's why my prediction is for Cannon to win, especially considering I think Cannon has a good direction right now, and I think he can go some separate ways. But I want this feud, to just end tonight. I think it's time. Hold on. I think it's time that this feud is just put down and put out because Dustin Raymond and Cannon, the feud has lost interest in the fans. So I think this is a great time to end it, and I think Cannon needs to win tonight. So next up, we have the Metal Chain Hangman's match. All right, this is going to be the kid mode Zack. This is not kid mode. This will be fan mode Zack. All right, this is not going to be anything from me. All right, Massacre versus Zack Hardy. Of course, Massacre has been on a roll for a while, kind of, sort of on a roll of some sort against Zack Hardy or against others, while Zack Hardy is sat out with a torn tendon in his right arm. it's fixed now. So don't worry, it's fixed. I'm perfectly fine now. It's all good to go. I'm ready to fight. I was ready to fight, and I didn't hurt it again tonight. But as a fan answering this question, Zack Hardy needs to win. The correct booking decision would be having Zack Hardy win, and it's pretty obvious that that would happen because you cannot return after a long absence and not be put over in your first match back after a long rivalry. Now, of course, this feud has extended since Steel Purgatory in March, and it's been going on for so long because I have not been there, so there was no real giant step in matches. So that's why this rivalry has been put over now. This is why I had such a big ovation and a big reaction with the crowd on Intensity last Wednesday when they saw me return. Oh, and by the way, my theme song is now The Diary of Jane. Get that through your head. I will try to find my place in the Diary of Jane. Yes, of course, it is another Breaking Benjamin song. Yes, I Will Not Bow was before that. Or no, it was Somewhere I Belong by Linkin Park, and then before that was I Will Not Bow by Breaking Benjamin. Before that was Something in Your Mouth by Nickelback, and now it's The Diary of Jane by Breaking Benjamin. So it was Breaking Benjamin, Linkin Park, Breaking Benjamin, Nickelback. But as a fan, of course, I have to go with Zack Hardy. The reason being why that would be a smart booking decision is because A, you can't have him come back. You can't have me come back after a long time and have me lose because you barely ever see that when somebody comes back. And not to mention that, and I'm the face here. So you kind of have to have it be even if you want to continue this feud, and I want this feud to continue because it's just kicking off again. So that's my prediction for what I think should happen. Anyway, we get into the final match, and I've only got a couple minutes left, so we've got the wooden medal match for the USW Championship. Alexander Rotten defends the championship against Dwayne Porter. This is a great feud. Great feud. Alexander Rotten has so far been a great USW champion. What I want to see come from this feud is that the crowd gets on their side, gets on Dwayne Porter's side. They just stay away from Alexander Rotten's side. He's a great heel. He's been playing out as a great heel, and he should be treated as a great heel instead of a USW champion in a feud. So I think Alexander Rotten needs to win here. And I think you understand why I want that to happen. So don't question why, but just know that if Alexander Rotten wins here and Dwayne Porter loses, they can set up another match in which Alexander Rotten wins, and then the feud is over, and then Alexander Rotten faces somebody else, and Dwayne Porter faces somebody else, and we build that up against, they go their separate ways, and they keep building and 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 building their separate ways until one day they collide again. And that day, whether it's for the USW Championship or not, it should be a great feud again. But it shouldn't happen until they built their own feuds far away from each other. So great things can happen with this feud. And tonight is just the start of what is for Alexander Rotten to retain the USW Championship here tonight. So anyway, guys, thank you for watching. This was the pre-show for USW Hardcore Haven 2015. The show is getting underway in about 5 minutes, so hopefully you enjoy it. If you have not yet bought it, have you even not rented it yet, go to USW official, or no, go to uswwrestling.webs.com and order / rent the pay-per-view. It's only about $29.99. Order it, enjoy it. I will see you guys tomorrow or later tonight with my the review and reaction video from the pay-per-view. So thank you for watching. I hope everybody enjoyed. Have a great night. We'll see you here either tonight or tomorrow for the review afterwards. So thank you for watching. Remember to like, favorite, and subscribe for more. I'm Zack Hardy, signing off.